For 2025, Ford has refreshed their smallest Bronco, the Ford Bronco Sport. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about what's changed with this and what this Heritage trim has to offer. Coming in at about $47,000 Canadian, about $40,000 in the US, it is a relatively expensive compact crossover in the segment, considering this is like the second from the bottom when it comes to the trim. Powering our Bronco Sport is a 1.5-liter EcoBoost 3-cylinder engine. Produces 180 horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque with the 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. Now, what's new for 2025? Well, Ford says that they've updated the front and rear fascias for this vehicle. We also have the new larger 12.3-inch gauge cluster screen, the new larger 13.2-inch Sync 4 infotainment system, as well as wireless phone charging now coming standard across the board. However, with my iPhone 17 Pro, I can never get it to charge properly. It needs to be in such a specific position, down to almost the millimeter or micrometer, that it just effectively never charges. Now, Victor drove the Bronco Sport about a year ago, and I haven't driven it for quite a while now. So let's take it on the road. I'm going to talk to you about how it's been over the last week, how it compares to some of the other compact crossovers I've driven recently, and ultimately, if you should consider this vehicle for your next purchase. Alright, so first off, let's talk about fuel efficiency. That's, as far as I'm concerned, really the most important thing when it comes to a compact crossover. Now, I've driven a couple of them recently, and I'm going to be driving more in this segment before the end of the year, so they're really good to be able to compare back to back. The most recent that I drove was the Honda CR-V Trail Sport Hybrid. That completed our 100-kilometer test loop in 7.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Interestingly, it was the same that this Bronco Sport did. Now, how is that possible? The hybrid should be more efficient, but as I talk about pretty often when we're doing any fuel efficiency testing here on Test Drive, is your mileage will vary. Our test loop is very dependent on highway driving, which is not where a hybrid excels. And something like this 3-cylinder might do a little bit better because there isn't that added weight of the battery pack that really isn't being utilized while you're at highway speeds. So it was pretty good. However, now that we've been driving around, I believe I was talking in my CR-V video that I was averaging about 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers, doing my back and forth every single day to and from work and whatever, dropping off my daughter at school. That number in this vehicle doing effectively the same thing, 9.2 liters per 100 kilometers. So a full 2 liters per 100 kilometers less fuel efficient. Now, I know it doesn't sound like much, but if you're putting, 50 liters of fuel in this vehicle every week or so, that's how much it cost me to do about the 566 kilometers I've driven. Yeah, it starts to add up, right? 2 liters per 100. If you're doing 500, there's 10 liters that you've spent more in this than you would have in the Honda. Gas right now is like $1.40. So I know it's not like a crazy amount of money, but if you're driving 500 kilometers a week, every week's costing you $14 more in gas, then yes, that does start to add up. Also, the engine's not super powerful. That's to be expected from such a small engine, especially a 3-cylinder. I have found that there are obviously no guts when it comes to this. I have had a couple times where I have been at, say, a 4-way stop and I have needed to go. I mash the accelerator and absolutely nothing happens. Part of that's because of the auto stop start system, and then I guess another part of it is so that, in case you accidentally mash the accelerator in a parking lot or something, you won't die. But there we go. It goes, finally. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but if you go up to the higher trims in the Bronco Sport lineup, you do get the 2-liter engine, which I think is the better choice. But if you want this Heritage, you're stuck with the 1.5 3-cylinder. Now, this is not a bad-looking vehicle. I've had a lot of compliments about it, mostly from the older generation, people who are about my parents' age. They like the color and they like the look of it, and it's probably because it reminds them of Broncos of generations past. With our Robin's Egg blue paint, you can't really go wrong with it, but there's only a couple color choices when it comes to this Heritage Edition. And while it is well equipped, right, $47,000 is still kind of on the pricey side. That CR-V that we drove was like $49,000 for so $2,000 more. Both have effectively the same equipment. In here, though, we only have single zone automatic climate control, heated front seats. There's no heated steering wheel, and the remote start works well enough. It'll turn on those heated seats and all that for you. We had to upgrade to get the sunroof. That's kind of typical. But we only have a regular backup camera. The quality of it is like kind of okay, just like it was on the CR-V. Overall, though, space is pretty good on this. I have really no complaints when it comes to the size of the Bronco Sport. I think it really makes sense in Ford's lineup, especially considering the Escape is its cousin. It's the same segment. This is a little bit more of an appealing vehicle for those who want to do outdoorsy stuff. We've got the optional little picnic table installed in the back that allows you to fold down the legs and put some stuff on the top. It's kind of handy. It acts as a privacy cover as well. And then you've got the LED lights built into the trunk area that allow you to use them as little spotlights. They're not too bad overall. But aside from that, I mean, there isn't anything over the top when it comes to this vehicle. I mean, you're getting kind of an average crossover experience in the consumer, compact segment. But you're paying, I'd say, a little bit more for it, right? $47,000 to me seems pretty expensive for what you're getting. So if it were my money, and we were only comparing the two vehicles we've driven recently, then the Honda CR-V makes the most sense to me. Now, I will be driving a number of other compact consumer crossovers over the next little while, and we're going to be talking about how those compare. But I think some things that Ford could take note on, right? You do make a plug-in hybrid version of the Escape. You also make a hybrid version of it. Wouldn't be a bad idea to offer that in this, because I would much prefer to have a hybrid than I would to have this 3-cylinder engine. That would at least make it competitive against something like the CR-V and the Toyota RAV4, the Hyundai Tucson, all of these vehicles that do offer a hybrid. I hear that Nissan will be coming out with a hybrid version of the Rogue. And then you've got things like the Equinox that, obviously direct competitor to this. They don't offer that. But I think it's going to be a big selling factor for people. I think hybrid is really the way to go. I talk about it all the time here on Test Drive. It really should be at least an option for every vehicle sold, giving people who want a little bit of extra fuel efficiency those options. Because I'm telling you right now, 9.2 liters, that's quite a bit. And it was also quite a bit of difference at the gas pump. As I said, it cost like 50 something bucks to fill this up from almost empty. The CR-V, when I filled it up the first time, it was like half full. It was like 22 bucks. And then it was like another 22 bucks when I dropped it off. I haven't even dropped this off yet, and I had to drive further with the CR-V, so it was much more efficient. Well, let me know what you think. Is the Bronco Sport, the Heritage Edition specifically, one that you are after? Are you interested in the Bronco Sport in general? Let us know what your thoughts are. If you have any questions about this vehicle, we do try to get back to everybody that we can. We are running a little behind, but we will get to you as soon as we can. If you aren't subscribed, I can tell you that like 98% of you aren't. It doesn't cost you anything. We'd love to have you on board. So please hit that button, give a thumbs up to the video, let us know what your thoughts are. And until next time, take care. We'll see you in the next video.